gentlemen, and welcome back into another edition of Keytime Sports. It's Keytime coming back to talk about week one. First, please like, comment, share, subscribe. Keytime Sports right here on YouTube, Key City Sports on Instagram, and also go follow the Key at Keywond Dowell on millions.co. So, week one is in the books. There were a lot of games, a lot of things that I like when it came to teams playing each other. And then there's a lot of stuff that these teams can clearly work on. Now, the first game of the week was the Cowboys and the Eagles. Now, the Cowboys, they had a chance to win this game in the end. Well, not even in the end, late in the third quarter. If it wasn't for Miles Sanders fumbling the ball, the Dallas Cowboys may win. But one thing I want to say as far as defensive wise for the Cowboys, they were not able to get no pressure on Jalen Hurts, even though to Philadelphia standards, Jalen Hurts didn't have a good game. He was 19 of 23, 152 yards, zero touchdowns, and zero interceptions. But this game, it had all types of offense in the first quarter, in the second quarter, and in the first half. And then all of a sudden, there was a mysterious 45-minute delay. I don't know for what reason, but we had that happen multiple times during week one. So everybody, and I'm wondering, I'm looking at this game, and that's saying that it's a weather delay. So I'm looking at the radar for Philadelphia. I don't see not much rain or any lightning in the area. So for 40 minutes, that was a little bit mysterious to me. But long story short, they came back. Cowboys, they had a chance to get an upset win, but it was CeeDee Lamb and it was the defense. CeeDee Lamb and the defense, if both of those was on their game, Cowboys would have won because you had 7 third down sequences where the Cowboys couldn't get off the field. And then you had 4 key drops by CeeDee Lamb. But all in all, I like what I saw from the Cowboys. Here's the game statistics for each team. Here's the total team statistics, time of possession, red zone attempts, and Philadelphia, they were +9 in time of possession. So I believe this game was very intriguing, but I just hope that this game, when we go to the end of the season, I just hope this game doesn't hurt the Cowboys, when it comes to getting a playoff spot, because these games early in the season, they matter when it comes to playoff positioning. So that's all I got to say for the Cowboys and Eagles game. The next game I'm going to cover is the Friday night game, Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers. Now the Kansas City Chiefs, they got some problems. They already got some problems because there were a lot of missed tackles that I saw Friday night. They had Kansas City had 20 missed tackles. You have never seen a Kansas City defense in the Andy Reid era have 20 missed tackles. Now, I'm not concerned about the offense because the offense, they have Marquise Hollywood Brown, Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco, Patrick Mahomes sometimes. Also, they have Juju Smith-Schuster and Travis Kelce as wide receivers. So the offense for the Chiefs, they are going to be okay. It's all about the defense. If the defense is not on their A game, they can have the best offense. They can have the best offense in the league and still not be able to make the playoffs because the Chargers back in 2010 did the same thing. Had the best offense in the league, the best defense in the league, and did not make the playoffs. So that sounds crazy in and of itself, but that's a little bit of a history lesson for my audience out there. But back to Friday, third down, it was a cause for panic when it comes to third down for the Chiefs, because third down for the Chargers, they were very efficient, 7 of 13 on third down, and the Chiefs were 5 of 13. Now, Patrick Mahomes, he was inaccurate, and the running game didn't help out Patrick enough. And then you have a Chargers team that is trying to make a statement, first game of the season, showing everybody that, okay, we can compete with the Chargers, we can compete with the Chiefs, excuse me, and we can beat the Chiefs no matter where they play. They they beat them in Brazil. So I'm pretty sure that they can beat them at home too. But I don't see the Chargers sweeping the Chiefs, because if the Chargers sweep the Chiefs, then that gives everybody else in the AFC West a chance to beat or sweep the Chiefs. Now, we already, like, I saw the Raiders this weekend, I saw the Broncos this weekend, and I also saw the Chargers, looking at it from all different angles when it comes to the AFC West. The AFC West is going to be a tight division, just like the NFC North. And I'm going to get into that division a little bit later on. But what I saw from the Chiefs is, it's week one. It's week one, so nobody should overreact. I mean, you're not gonna be a complete team the first game of the season. You're not. But by the time week 5, week 6 get here, you know what type of team you have. The teams, they should be making a little hay. And if they not making a little hay, then you get to that point in the season where you trying to catch up, but it may be a little bit too late. The next game I'm going to cover is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Atlanta Falcons. Michael Penix Jr., he had a great game. 27 of 42, 298 yards, one touchdown, zero interceptions. Baker Mayfield, he had an average day, but got the win, 17 of 32, 167 yards, three touchdowns, zero interceptions. Tampa Bay rushing attack cracked over 100 yards. Atlanta's rushing attack was non-existent. But Atlanta, they had a chance at winning this game. They did. But it was just those last 3 minutes of the fourth quarter, they were not able to get a stop. When you have and plus this is a division game, so you are down one in the division already, and you lost your opening day game at home to your division rival. So Tampa Bay last 4 years, they won the NFC South, projected to win the NFC South again. For Atlanta in this case, they are a young up and coming team. Like I said, I like what Michael Penix Jr. did, but as far as defense, they've got to step up. They do. They got to step up in pressure pack moments during the season, and it's going to be a whole lot more pressure pack moments. If the Falcons are trying to make it to the playoffs, they are going to have to answer the bell as far as defense more times than not, because the offense, they have a decent enough offense, but they have to have the type of defense that can keep a game close. And Atlanta, they can't get in any blowouts this year, or any offensive shootouts, because Atlanta won't be able to win. They won't. Now for Tampa, we all know that Tampa, they have a good defense. They have Todd Bowles there. Baker Mayfield, he has resurrected his career from being straight garbage to now being a competent quarterback. So Tampa Bay Buccaneers, maybe a playoff team, possibly a playoff team. But do I see them getting very far in the playoffs? I'm not sure. This is only week one. I'm gonna say this. See, there's 3 weeks in the season that I look at. First, I look at week 5, because everybody has played at least 4 weeks of the season already, and you know what kind of team you are. And then I look at week 9. Week 9, some of those teams that started off cold early in the season, they are trying to catch up and have an even record at 500 so they can make a late playoff push. But by the time week 12 gets here, you're separating the contenders from the pretenders. So that's what I look at. I look at week 5, I look at week 8, and I look at week 12. So week 5, most of these teams, they going to be making some hay, and then there's going to be other teams that are pretty much just going to throw in the towel on the season. But as far as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they can most sure make the playoffs. But will they win in the playoffs? That's a different story. That is a entirely different story. Now the next game I'm going to cover is the Cincinnati Bengals and Cleveland Browns. Cincinnati Bengals, Burrow 14 to 23, 113 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Joe Flacco 31 of 45, 290 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Rushing attack for the Bengals, 46 yards, non-existent. Rushing attack for the Browns, 49 yards. This was a terrible game. I believe that this was the worst game of week 1. Not to mention that the Browns, they had a chance at winning this game. Now, we all know that Joe Flacco, he's the type of quarterback that can play when there are no expectations involved. But when you start putting expectations on him, then he starts to crumble like a cookie. He does. Now, for the Cleveland Browns, they are between a rock and a hard place. I can say that because if Joe Flacco keeps struggling like this, and then you put in Dillon Gabriel, and he starts struggling, you already know who is the third quarterback on the depth chart, and that is Shedeur Sanders. So now, Cleveland, they are going to have to make a decision within the next couple of weeks, because the only reason why people like me, journalists, and all these sports writers talking about the Cleveland Browns the way we talking about them is because of Shedeur Sanders. Now, I believe that when it comes to the Browns, they don't want Shedeur on the field because they think that Shedeur playing is going to take away from the entire team. But you need somebody to give you the type of confidence to win at least a couple games, because the projection for the Cleveland Browns this year is they are going to win 4 or maybe 5 games. That's all. So you're not making the playoffs. You're not making the playoffs, but the fan base, they want to see Shedeur Sanders play. Everybody in the NFL wants to see Shedeur Sanders play. I know that in the preseason, that last preseason game, he didn't do too well. But hell, at the end of the preseason game, most of them guys ain't gonna be on the opening day roster. Everybody already knows that. So what I am saying is, if I'm the Browns head coach, I'm gonna give everybody, and I do mean everybody on the roster, including the special teams. I say I'm gonna give y'all a couple of weeks to get everything together. I'm gonna put in one of the best offensive play calling duties I can. But one thing, the Browns, they don't have the kind of players that can give them, that upper echelon of, the advantage when it comes to playing against teams like this. Now, Kevin Stefanski, like, they have him as, coach of the year. But outside of Joe Flacco coming to the Browns a couple years ago during the first time, he probably wouldn't even have gotten that head coaching of, the Coach of the Year award from the NFL. But we all know that Kevin Stefanski, he doesn't have much control in the Cleveland Browns organization. It's Jimmy Haslam and the general manager. And then if the owner and the general manager are okay with the roster, they give it to Kevin Stefanski and he looks at it and then he has to tell the public about it, tell the media about it. But the Cincinnati Bengals, congratulations on getting their first week one win in 5 years. In 5 years. Now, Cincinnati Bengals, they have Jacksonville coming up this coming weekend. So let's see what they can do. Let's see what they can do. The Browns, stop wasting time. Really, stop wasting time. I know y'all want Joe Flacco. I know only people that wanted Joe Flacco was the head coach. Head coach. But like I said, Shador, he already done said that he already said that when it comes to him, he is just gonna be prepared when his number is called. Now, Shador, he has the type of, I'm gonna say, calm bravado to say, hey, I'm gonna be sitting right here waiting on my chance to play. But he also said, don't put me in a no-win situation. That's what Shador said. Don't put me in a no-win situation. So I'm like, he already know what's going on. He already know that, the Cleveland Browns, they not really with him like that, and they not behind him 100%. The only guy in the Cleveland Browns organization that's behind him 100% is the general manager. Now, the general manager for the Browns, he is gonna have to get an extension if they put Shador out there on the field and Shador start rattling off, 5, 6 wins, and getting the team and getting the fan base excited. But outside of that, that's all I got to say for the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns. The next game I'm going to cover is the Miami Dolphins and the Indianapolis Colts. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and say this. The Miami Dolphins, I'm not going to overreact, but the Miami Dolphins, they'll make the playoffs, but they are not going to win in the playoffs. The Miami Dolphins, historically, you already know what I'm going to say. Historically, they do not fare well under 50-degree temperatures. In cold climates, they do not win. And it has gotten to the point where even if it gets under 55 degrees, they are not able to maneuver and win. Now, there's one thing that I can say is that Tyreek Hill, back in the offseason, he said that he wants to deliver Miami a playoff win. But I'm going to say, if that playoff win is not at home, they might not be able to win, because when you got the Dolphins, one of the top offensive teams, well, projected to be one of the top offensive teams in the NFL. Then you got Tua Tagovailoa, 14 or 23, 114 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He had a fumble here, 2 interceptions there. It's like Tua, is Tua Tagovailoa's career almost on the back end? Because last couple of years, he's been injured. The years before that, he was very below average. So it's like we've never seen Tua Tagovailoa get to the ultimate pinnacle of success for the Miami Dolphins. We have it. Now, as far as Daniel Jones, I keep on hearing over the last 48 hours, I done heard people say, you know, Indiana Jones and Indy Jones. But Daniel Jones, he had one good game. I'm going to say that. I'm not willing to, I'm not going to say that it's time for me to apologize and say that I was wrong. I need to see this more on a consistency level. I need him to do this week in and week out. That's what I do. I need Daniel Jones to do this week in and week out. Now, one thing I can say is Daniel Jones in the situation that he was in with the New York Giants, pretty much it could have been just an offensive line problem. Now, I did say that last season in a couple of my shows last season, but now this is a whole new season and we want to talk about present day. What happened in the last 48 hours until now? Indianapolis Colts cracked over 100 yards rushing, receiving. Most of the guys that the receivers for the Colts had at least 10 yards on a reception. 10 yards. And not to mention the Miami Dolphins, their offense was pretty bad. They didn't score until 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And now, these two things. Mike McDaniel reportedly on the hot seat. I heard this. I heard this news going back to May. He's reportedly on the hot seat, and Tyreek Hill. The rumors are starting to get. The rumors are true that he might get traded before the trade deadline. Now this is just week one. If I'm the head coach of the Miami Dolphins, Mike McDaniel, Mike McDaniel, I don't want to call for nobody's job, but Mike McDaniel, he just not cutting it for me. I mean, when it comes to head coaches, you got to be enthusiastic when it comes to your players. That's one reason why I'm gonna get to the Jaguars here in a minute, but I noticed the Jaguars head coaching staff all throughout the sideline over the week when they played the game versus the Panthers. Every coach on that sideline was enthusiastic, from the head coach all the way down to the assistant coaches. But for the Miami Dolphins, it's been 4 years of Mike McDaniel, and you haven't won a playoff game. I mean, you've had a top notch offense. When Tua has been playing, you've had a top notch offense, and when Tua doesn't play, your offense is in the bottom five of the league. So it's like it's like with the Miami Dolphins, they're up here with Tua, and it seems like they just drop down, go all the way down to 32nd without Tua. So this was never a close game at all. It wasn't. Indianapolis Colts was leading by 20 to 0 at halftime. So for the Miami Dolphins, even though it's week one, you need to do better. I mean, and even possession, the time of possession, 17 minutes. Just 17 minutes more for the Indianapolis Colts. 38-21. So, Colts, I'm not going to overreact because it's just week one. But the Miami Dolphins, you did not look too great. Didn't look too great at all. The next game I am going to cover is the Las Vegas Raiders and the New England Patriots. I said the Raiders would win this game because the New England Patriots, they haven't won an opening day game since Tom Brady retired and left the Patriots. So Geno Smith, 24-34, 362 yards, one touchdown, one interception. Drake May, 30 of 46, 287 yards, one touchdown, one interception. Rushing attack was non-existent for the Raiders. 56 total rushing yards. Rushing attack for the New England Patriots, 60 yards, non-existent. It was pretty much a aerial attack in this game. Las Vegas receivers and New England receivers. You had Brock Bowers crack over 100 yards. Keyshawn Booty cracked over 100 yards. And then everybody else pretty much did the bare minimum. Now, the Patriots, I only have them winning 6, 7 games this season. And that may be generous. I'm being generous when I say that. But for the Raiders, they have a chance to either not make the playoffs or they have a chance to upset a team in the playoffs led by Pete Carroll. We all know how Pete Carroll's way of operation is. Running the football, taking care of the football, having a decent passing game, and finding a way to win a football game. That is Pete Carroll's motto. Now, this is what the Raiders have been needing over the past couple of years, but with the recent head coaches, they didn't have it. You got Pete Carroll, and he is doing his thing. Pete Carroll, he has been in the NFL multiple times. He was with the Patriots back in the 90s, the Jets back in the 90s. So he has been around the block, around the NFL block and more. He has been. So total yards in this game, Raiders 398 total yards. For the Patriots, 336 total drives, 12 total drives for the Raiders, 11 total drives for the Patriots. Now, this is a game where I see two young up-and-coming teams that can really make some hay starting this season. I mean, I know I said last season the Patriots were maybe another year or two away, but I said the Patriots would be in a lot of close games, and they had a chance to win this game versus the Raiders. And it's going to be a season full of close games for the New England Patriots. The only question is, do they win most of those close games? We will have to see, and that remains to be seen. The next game that I'm going to cover is the Cardinals and the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints projected to be one of the worst teams, the worst offense in the NFL. And you can see with these statistics, Spencer Rattler, 27 of 46, 214 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Kyler Murray, 21 of 29, 163 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Arizona Cardinals, they are one of those teams. I'm not going to say that they are not a top tier team. They're a mid-level team, a team that can win 8-9 games and can sneak into the playoffs. But I don't see the Cardinals getting very far. I just don't. Now, this game versus the Saints, everybody should win against the Saints this season because the Saints, their projections, after week 1, their projections are, as far as offense, 30th. And you have the Giants and the Browns at 31st. Well, you have the Giants at the 32nd. And then you have the Browns 31st. Now, one thing that I can say is with the Arizona Cardinals, I don't know if Jonathan Gannon is on the hot seat yet, but I'm hearing noise that Jonathan Gannon, if he doesn't start to improve this team this season, he may be on the hot seat going into 26, if not 26, going into 27, because he's been there for 4 years already. 4 years, and They haven't won a playoff game, but they've only made the playoffs once. So you see where I'm getting at here? When owners and general managers do not see the team constantly improve and make it to the championship and win the championship, then it's time for them to clean house. Now the Cardinals, we don't expect the Cardinals to be one of those teams that can pretty much shake up everything when it comes to dealing with, the 49ers, the Eagles, the Commanders, or the Green Bay Packers. We don't expect that. We just expect the Cardinals to do what they normally do, and that's get 8, 9 wins, have a successful season, go into the offseason and try and get better the following season. That's what we expect. And for the New Orleans Saints, Kellen Moore, he got a 3-year grace period. By the time year 4 gets here, he has got to have a formidable playoff contender. He does. He's got to have a formidable playoff contender. Now, here is the last thing that I can say. Time of possession for the Arizona Cardinals was set plus 7 minutes, 33 minutes to 26 minutes. That's all I have to say for the Arizona Cardinals. And the next game I'm going to cover is the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers turned back the clock a little bit on Sunday, went 22 of 30, 244 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and he had a quarterback rating of 138.3. Aaron Rodgers, he's 41. Now, if he can play to this level throughout the entirety of the season, the Steelers, they may have a chance. They may, but the Steelers, they got a tough road though. They not gonna make it to the Super Bowl. I'm gonna just go ahead and say that because you got Bengals, you got the Ravens, you got Buffalo, you got Kansas City. You also have a few sleeper teams in there. The Chargers could give you a run for your money. Also, the Texans can give you a run for your money. Now, I'm a little bit on the fence when it comes to the Texans, but the Texans in the playoffs, when it comes to them in the playoffs, and if they do have to match up against the Steelers, I could see that game going either way, with it being the Steelers and Texans. But as of right now, the Steelers, I would say this is the first time, this is the first time in 6 opening day games where they have cracked over 30 points. Now, the defense it's a lot. They have a lot to work on, giving up 30 over 30 points in your first game. But like I've been saying throughout the entirety of this show, no team in week 1 is going to be complete. I have never seen that happen before in sports, where after the first game, everybody says, oh, this team is complete. This is the champion of the league. It's not going to happen like that. For the New York Jets, Justin Fields, 16 of 22, 218 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. As far as rushing concerned, New York Jets, they did what they were supposed to do and getting over 100 yards. Pittsburgh Steelers rushing attack, it's got to come up. Only 53 yards. Now, we all know that the Pittsburgh Steelers, they are a run-first team. But we know that Mike Tomlin, he says if Aaron Rodgers is comfortable with the plays, he said, hey, whatever Aaron Rodgers is comfortable with, we are all for it. Now, we know that Aaron Rodgers is not going to have stats like this every game. But for him to come out opening day against the team that he played for the last couple of years, for the last couple of years and win in decisive fashion. He was sacked 4 times, but he didn't let those sacks, get in his head and stuff. So, one thing I can say is Pittsburgh Steelers may be a dark. I can't believe I'm saying this, but the Steelers may be a dark horse team to win in the playoffs because we all know that the Steelers they're gonna have a winning season and everything. We all know that. But as far as winning in the playoffs, that is the $1 million question for this season when it comes to the Steelers. Now we got 16 more games. Excuse me, yeah, 16 more games to figure that out. But as of right now, Aaron Rodgers, he's looking pretty good. The next game I am going to cover is the New York Giants and the Washington Commanders. Washington Commanders, they didn't light up the scoreboard. Washington Commanders had 14 drop passes. 14 drop passes in this game. And the Giants were only able to score 6 points. And this is the third straight opening game in the Brian Daboll era where they haven't scored a touchdown. They haven't. 2023, they scored only 3 points. Well, excuse me. 2023, they scored 0 points. Last season, they scored 6 points. And this season, Sunday, they scored 6 points. Now, Brian Daboll, he's always saying that we got to look at the tape. We got to look at the offense. We got to open up the playbook. Opening up the playbook won't do anything unless you have a good offensive line. You see, over the past 6 years, it's been the offensive line with the New York Giants. And even during that season where Daniel Jones had a good season, the offensive line wasn't that good. It was just slightly above average. But all of the things that I'm hearing in the New York newspaper, Giants Weekly and all that, saying that maybe put in Jackson Dart. You shouldn't put in Jackson Dart after just 2 or 3 weeks. Now, everybody was saying that the Giants might be a dark horse to make the playoffs, but everybody got shot back down to reality Sunday afternoon. I said that the Giants would win 5 games, and that might even be a stretch when it comes to, because the offense was so putrid. I mean, you had Russell Wilson, 17 of 37, 168 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Rushing attack was non-existent. You had wide receivers cussing out head coaches, cussing out offensive coordinators. New York Giants football right now, it's been in the same purgatory it's been in the last 15 years. Not able to win. Not able to win a game. Not able to keep the team in the right position. John Mara. I know John Mara is the owner of the Giants, but he is gonna have to. He gonna have to get it. He is gonna have to improve this team one way or another. Joe Shane. He gonna be gone. Brian Daboll, he might be gone. Brian Daboll is becoming the modern day Joe Judge. Now everybody knows Joe Judge. He wasn't able to do nothing in New York. And let me tell you, New York is one of the most rambunctious media bases in the country. So you already know that the New York Giants and the New York Jets, anytime they lose, they are just pretty much, covering it all over the newspaper and everything that has to do with New York. The Washington Commanders, oh, Washington Commanders, we all know what their team is about. We all know that they're gonna be in the playoffs in the end. But one thing about it is Washington Commanders, they could have been, a little bit more efficient on offense. But like I said, this is just week one, so let's not get carried away with what we see in week one, America. Yeah, let's not get carried away. The next game I'm going to cover is the Carolina Panthers and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, back in July, late July, I said that the Carolina Panthers well, may be a dark horse playoff team. I'm not going to rescind that prediction right now because it's just week one. But Bryce Young, he still has to, and it's not just Bryce Young, the whole organization for the Panthers, they have to do more to put the right resources around Bryce Young. I mean, when you look at it, Carolina's rushing attack cracked over 100 yards for the first time in almost 17 games. So that's good. That's a hand clap there. But you had your opponent crack exactly 200 yards. So the Panthers, they might be I'm going to say the third or fourth best team in their division. Now, we all know what the Saints are going to look like. So Carolina may be third. The Jaguars, they are, I'm going to say, the best team in the AFC South after just one game. Because I seen a collective of players on the Jaguars have a good game. I know Indianapolis Colts won their game, but that was basically a blowout. So I'm going to just scratch that. But the Jaguars in this case, fan base, fans at the game were excited. I saw the head coaching staff. I saw the coaching staff for the Jaguars, and I do mean every coach on the sideline was enthusiastic. Players were enthusiastic. So when you have a team with the coaching staff and the players being enthusiastic, that is going to be a good team. Now the Jaguars, they have a tough matchup their next game versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, one thing I can say is, now this game, I had this basically as a layup for the Jaguars. They did what they were supposed to do. Now, let's see, can the Jaguars keep this momentum going? Total yards in this game for the Panthers, 255. Total yards for the Jaguars, 378. And this game was closer than it needed to be on the scoreboard because time of possession was 29 minutes for the Panthers and 31 minutes for the Jaguars. I thought that the time possession would be much greater than what it was, but it wasn't. So, Jaguars, are they turning the corner? It's just week one. So, we have that in store to think about. Also, the next game I'm going to cover, the Tennessee Titans and the Denver Broncos. Cam Ward, he had the kind of day that I thought that he was gonna have because playing up against the Denver Broncos defense, and let me tell you, that defense is supposed to be top 10, a top 10 defense in the NFL this season, and I can see that happening. I can. Now, Cam Ward, 12 of 28, 112 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Bo Nix, 25 of 40, 176 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Tennessee rushing attack, 71 yards, Denver's rushing attack, 151 yards. Denver Broncos, as far as receiving, they did pretty good. It's just week one. And basically, I knew that this game was going to be close no matter what. Now it was now this game was a point spread of 9. And the Broncos, well, the Titans, they covered. They only lost by 8. So if anybody put money on the Titans, you got your money's worth. But outside of that, Broncos did what they were supposed to do, protect home field advantage. Also, Broncos, they might be one of those teams that, even though we see them on the radar, can the Broncos beat a team like the Baltimore Ravens, the Buffalo Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs if they were able to face those teams in the playoffs? Those are the kind of questions that we have to ask when we talk about the Denver Broncos. We all know that Sean Payton is there and he is, kind of bolstering his team up, saying that, yeah, we can contend for a Super Bowl this year, but you got much tougher competition as far as contending for a Super Bowl. More than likely, the Denver Broncos won't get home field advantage throughout the playoffs. They'll have to go on the road for every game, go into hostile environments for every playoff game, and let's see if they can win. The next game I'm going to cover is the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle Seahawks, Sam Darnold is back to being Sam Darnold. 16 of 23, 150 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Brock Purdy, 26 of 35, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He had a okay game, but hey, I always say interceptions, you don't want them on your stat line. San Francisco rushing cracked over 100 yards. Seattle's rushing attack 84 yards. Receiving 277 yards for the 49ers. Seattle 150. San Francisco fumbles. They fumbled quite a few times in this game. Seattle, they fumbled quite a few times in this game. Now, this game, it was, I would say, one of the worst of week one, but this is a division game. So you're going to get that. Like I said, when it comes to division games, throw the records out because your division arch rival knows more about your team than the average team that you play on your schedule. Now, one thing I can say is I'm not surprised that the 49ers won this game because I didn't know what I was going to see from Seattle, especially Sam Darnold. He's like a revolving door. He can go in and out, in and out. He could be on one game. He can give you 4 or 5 touchdowns, and then the next game he can give you what he did on Sunday: 0 touchdowns and no interceptions. So Sam Darnold, he is not a franchise quarterback, and he never was a franchise quarterback. Never was a franchise quarterback. The next game I'm going to cover is the Detroit Lions and the Green Bay Packers. As far as for the Lions, we have to ask ourselves this question: bad game, or was this just a bad showing? And what I mean by a bad showing is the matchup. You were playing your arch rival, the Green Bay Packers, and you looked pretty sluggish throughout the entirety of the game. So is this just a bad game or a bad showing? I believe that this is just a bad showing because it's only week one, and Jared Goff was 31 of 39, 225 yards, one touchdown, one interception. Jordan Love, 16 of 22, 188 yards, two touchdowns, zero interceptions. But one thing, the Lions offense, well, the Lions offense was basically stagnated. It was. You had Jameer Gibbs only have 19 yards. David Montgomery, he only had 25. And then you had Jamison Williams, he only had 3. So they basically gave you nothing. But as far as the play calling, was the play calling even designed for them? Because most of the times, most of the time during this game, when Jared Goff would go back, he either got sacked, pressured, flustered, or he had to get rid of the ball, throw it out of bounds. So, offensive line for the Detroit Lions may be a concern throughout this season, and also defensive line. The Lions, they lost both offensive and defensive coordinators. So they are going to drop a little bit this season. Now, do I think that the Lions will not make the playoffs? No, I don't think the Lions will make the playoffs because, well, excuse me, let me rephrase that. The Lions will make the playoffs, but as far as the same effectiveness that they had over the past couple of years, that is gone. That's gone. And as far as the Green Bay Packers, well, Green Bay Packers, I got to see a little bit more because we don't know how good the Detroit Lions defense is going to be this year. And Green Bay, you were at home, and you always have you're always favored when you are at home. So this game, I'm not gonna bring too much in on this because it's week one, and we don't know what Detroit Lions team we saw Sunday. We just don't. The next game I'm going to cover, Houston Texans and Los Angeles Rams. CJ Stroud had a tough day, 19 of 27, 188 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. He got sacked 3 times. Rushing attack for the Texans, 114 yards. Rushing attack for the Rams, 72 yards. This was a defensive game no matter what. And I'm pretty sure everybody is saying, where did these points come from when it came to the Rams? Well, Matthew Stafford threw a touchdown and their running back ran a touchdown in. So that's where those 14 points came from. And for the Texans, their field goal kicker made all 3 of his field goals. So it's not really much to talk about when it comes to the Texans and the Rams game. But hey, it's week one. No team is complete in week one. No team is complete. And like I said earlier in the show, here is the 3 weeks that everybody needs to watch out for. Week 5, that is the week that you know what kind of team, every fan base knows what kind of team they have. So that's week 5. Week 9, okay, week 9, the teams that started off cold early in the season, they are trying to, cover some ground and make that final playoff push. By week 12, you know who is the contenders from the pretenders. So keep those 3 weeks on your list. Keep those 3 weeks locked up on your list, okay? Everybody. So one last thing. The next game I'm going to cover is possibly the best game of week 1. The Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills, in this case, is the first team in NFL history to win a game after trailing by 15 or more points late in the fourth quarter with only 4 minutes left. Now, I believe that this was not a Buffalo Bills win, but it was a Baltimore Ravens collapse. Because under 4 minutes left, you have a 15-point lead. Your chances of winning the game are 87%. 87. But with a fumble here, a missed tackle there, and two touchdowns here, all of a sudden that 87% dwindled down to 14. And then when the Buffalo Bills had the lead, when the Buffalo Bills got down in the field goal range, the win probability turned. So you had Josh Allen almost throw 400 yards, 33 of 46, 394 yards, two touchdowns, zero interceptions. Lamar Jackson, 14 of 19, 209 yards, two touchdowns, zero interceptions. Now John Harbaugh, he is the first coach in the NFL since 1990 to where he has had a team multiple times hold leads of either 15 to 20 points late, and I do mean late in a game, and lose. He has done that has happened 17 times throughout his career, where the Ravens in the fourth quarter had been leading 20 points, 15 to 20 points, and they still wind up losing. Now, the Ravens, they used to be known for defense, but now they are just known for offense. And here's another stat and a history lesson that I'm gonna give y'all. Teams that score 40 points or more on the road win 75% of the time. 72-3. That is the win. That is the win-loss record when it comes to teams that have scored 40 or more points on the road. And Sunday night was the first time ever in the Ravens' history where they lost a game scoring at least 40 points or more. The Ravens' defense has issues. The Ravens' offense, they may have to hang their head on their offense. And as far as the Buffalo Bills, cardiac Bills, that's what I got to say. Because early in the fourth quarter, it seemed like the Baltimore Ravens were running away with this. That's what it seemed like. And if you turned off the TV and went to sleep, you pretty much woke up yesterday morning saying, I thought the Ravens won this game. No, those last 4 minutes, I mean, it was just ultimate 360 when it came to those last 4 minutes of the game. But all in all, it was a very entertaining game. I would not be surprised if we see both of these teams in the playoffs again in Buffalo, or it could be a possibility where they could play in Baltimore. But more than likely, they'll probably play in Buffalo because this win holds weight when it comes to strength of schedule and, home and away record. So Buffalo Bills, they did what they were supposed to do. And for the Baltimore Ravens, that defense, y'all got to improve expeditiously. You do. You got to improve expeditiously. The last game I am going to cover is the Minnesota Vikings and the Chicago Bears. One thing about the Chicago Bears, oh man. Chicago Bears had the lead in this game 17-6. One thing about this game, J.J. McCarthy, he was awful the first three minutes, the first three quarters of this game. 30 of 20, 143 yards, two touchdowns, and one interception. Caleb Williams, 21 of 35, 210 yards, one touchdown, zero interceptions. There were a lot of wide open passes that Caleb Williams missed. Now, I want to talk about Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams in college, he had the same kind of problems. Caleb Williams last season, he had the same kind of problems. Now this is the first game of year 2 with him. And you can't, for the Chicago Bears, you can't have another season of, oh, we lost 8, 9 close games. We could have had a chance to win, but we lost 8 close games. You lost 8 close games last year. You lost a game last year where the team didn't even didn't even score a touchdown. You lost on a team by just kicking field goals. They kicked field goals, you scored touchdowns, but you still lost the game. You still lost the game. For the Minnesota Vikings, they stole one last night because late in the third quarter, it was 17-6. I'm saying to myself, I'm like, I was writing up my story for today and what I was gonna mention, and I was saying, I'm like, do the Chicago Bears have this game? But before I could start writing, I said, I'm like, wait, I'm gonna wait until the entirety of this game has played out, and then I will come in and write my story. And after I said that, I had to change up my story before I went to sleep last night. I did. So as far as the Chicago Bears, I don't have confidence in them yet. I don't. I don't. I mean, this is the first game of the season, but you can't keep doing this. You can't keep having control of the game for 85% of the game, and then all of a sudden, when there's no time left on the clock, you end up on the wrong side of the scoreboard. Now, Ben Johnson, he is the kind of coach that he is not happy about this. He is a big offensive guru, and I believe the Chicago Bears, at best, they could finish fourth in their division because the Vikings are better than them. Even after last night, the Vikings are better than them. We all know that the Lions are better than the Vikings, and the Green Bay Packers, we all know that they are led by Jordan Love. So Chicago, they may be the fourth best team in the NFC North by default. Outside of that, it was really nothing left to say about this game. It was just the 17-6 lead, and then all of a sudden after that you hear touchdown, 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 Minnesota 3 times, and the Bears, they scored a late touchdown to make the game even close. But a close game don't matter in the NFL. Coulda, shoulda, woulda don't get you nothing on that scoreboard but hypotheticals. And that's all I got to say for week 1 of the 2025 NFL season. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Click the notification bell to get notified of all of my reaction videos, shows, and other content. Also, go follow Key City Sports right here on YouTube, Keytime Sports on Instagram, and The Key at Keywond Dowell on millions.co. Remember, everybody, one last thing. The key is always on time.